Hello and welcome to the Aquarium Dilemmas podcast. I'm your host, Kerri. I'm ScienceGal Aquatics, and this is my co-host,
Jesse, and welcome. Thank you for tuning in for another wonderful episode of Aquarium Dilemmas.
Yes, thank you so much for tuning in. And again, I just wanted to remind you that if you wanted to watch this podcast, you can go over to the ScienceGal Aquatics page on YouTube and sign up for memberships. They're only 99 cents if you wanted to tune in and watch this podcast. But today, we're going to try to talk about, is expensive always better in the hobby? Is the most expensive thing always the best?
Yeah, and when you go, it's marketing, it's advertisement. Always, you got to have the best of the best.
And sometimes I do think it works best. I think it's really dependent on the situation, but
that's a very good point. But you have to be the devil's advocate on that, so to speak, is who's telling you it's the best? Is it the salesman at the expo show you're at? Of course he's going to tell you it's the best.
Yes,
he's trying to sell the product.
Yes, or that commercial or YouTube channel that is strictly sponsored, or even their own particular brand YouTube channel. Sometimes I get lost. There's so much information and I feel like I just want to try that just because they told me to. And sometimes it works out fantastic and sometimes it just doesn't. So
you can't listen to the first person that says, okay, this is the best product for you for what you're wanting to do. In my opinion, it's to listen to several different people or someone that has a similar setup as you.
yes.
So if you're talking to the local Petco or PetSmart guy, and then he starts talking about what he has at his house that he uses, and you hear him say, well, this works, but I don't like this, but I do use this and it's better. And that's more of where I gain my knowledge and customer reviews of a product, because then that's hands-on.
Yes, but again, don't just listen to that person. Get advice and read reviews. And sometimes it comes down to it just comes to using that particular product. With filters, I really like the Fluval 4 canister filter on my 180-gallon silver arowana tank, and it was quite pricey. It was a very expensive product, but for me and my needs, it works perfectly. But someone else that keeps a monster tank like that might have a DIY filter that works just as well because they know how to use it and it meets their needs. So it really, you can take all the advice you want and read all the reviews. Sometimes it just comes down to trying it out and seeing if it works. And just because I have a really expensive filter on that tank, I like a sponge filter down here.
Absolutely. And the smaller the tank, you can get the really high-end. Awase makes some. Fluval makes some.
There's all kinds of
hang
brands
on the backs that are super expensive. Or you can get the old cheapy standard Tetra Whisper filter.
Which I love that filter, but I don't, like on the 75-gallon upstairs, I do have a Whisper hang on the back, but I do have a sponge filter on that tank too. So sometimes it might not be the best solution to invest in one big filter for a large tank. Sometimes you might, if there's one that's more evenly priced in the middle and you really like it, you could get two and put in each corner. So there's a lot of different options, but sometimes there's exceptions to the rule that you do get what you pay for. And sometimes going the cheapest route on Amazon hasn't always worked out for the best for me. So it comes down to talking to people, doing research, reading reviews, maybe watching a couple videos to see how they run and work and maybe get some feedback on what's good and bad about it, and then just trying it out. But this is sometimes an expensive hobby that has a lot of cost and overhead to
Oh,
it.
there's so much cost.
It is kind of expensive just to try things out, just to see if you like it. But I have to say, sometimes I'll think I like this filter. It looks good on paper, but when I get home, I don't like it. And sometimes I'll find a filter that I'm like, I don't know about this, and I fall in love with it. So it's really dependent on your needs and what your tank is. But I think the best advice, if filter, light, or whatever equipment, if it makes or if you built it yourself, if it makes your daily fish keeping life better, then it's perfect.
That's all.
If that's a lot of talking.
That's all really good. But as you went back to the spearhead, the point of this is an expensive hobby.
Yes.
You can buy the most expensive substrate, the most expensive lights, the most expensive plants. I mean,
have the highest tech
filter
tank with CO2.
It can go on and on and on forever.
And not to mention just stocking the tank. Some fish, you could get for 25 cents that are more like the rosy red minnows, but you can go up to hundreds, if not thousands of dollars for certain fish, just the fish. So,
and that in itself is the dilemma. So when you're setting this tank up or it's already set up, but you're wanting to add more stuff to it, that's where the expensive isn't always better. And everyone has a budget unless you're just
lucky.
The gurus of the gurus.
Yes, and I fell in the trap where I thought I needed the top of the line of everything I thought I could get my hands on. I bought $100 lights. I bought $50 bags of substrate. And I do really like those products. I really do. Especially with the higher end, it's storming, this higher end substrates. I really sometimes in my schedule find it easier because I don't have to clean them as much. I don't have to constantly rinse it before I want to use it. But at the same time, you can save a lot of money if you go to the hardware store. There's numerous different sizes of substrate, from little small grain sand to large stone, but you do have to wash that a lot. So do you need high-end substrate? No, but it comes down again to your needs and what makes your life easier. Can you spend half the morning washing it and getting it prepped and rinsing and dumping? That can get heavy. So it's not necessarily expensive's always best. It might be. But this over here that's like half the price might be a good option too if it meets your needs for you. And I like it all.
Expanding on that subject. When you go to the pet store and you get a bag of substrate, most of the bags you're going to get at any local pet store, you're going to get a 5 or 10 pound bag of substrate.
Well, I think they come in slightly. It just depends on the store. Some stores have larger bags and some don't. It really just depends on the fish store. Our local here, we can't get heaps of substrate at the local store, whereas the hardware store, we can get a 50 pound bag. But there has been some places we visited throughout our travels that sometimes you pay for it. It's definitely more expensive for a 20 pound bag of Fluval stratum versus a 10 pound bag of Fluval stratum. Yes, correct.
But going with the substrate as far as sand, gravel, all that, your choices of size, and coloration, all of that are pretty limited, in my opinion, when you go to the pet store.
Yes.
You have a certain set brand of substrates, and this is what they have, this is what they stock, and this is what you get.
Yes, and here at our store, if you're after Fluval stratum, that's what we can get. They only stock 2 bags. So just because they have it doesn't mean it's always in stock either, because what they do have is limited, but even in the quantity of what they have is limited too.
Yeah. And where with the substrates as far as sand, gravel, big rocks, if you're doing a big tank, you can go to any of the major chain hardware stores, and it's your playground.
Yeah.
If you can pick anything you want out, get it for super cheap in comparison to ordering it online from a pet store or through your local pet store. Yes, you will have to do a little more work. You will have to rinse it. You will have to let it set in water a little bit, let it age a little bit. But if you have the time and the patience for that, it will save you money in the long run for that more expensive filter, that more expensive light. And the same way with lids. You can get the corrugated plastic from your hardware store that they use on greenhouses. You can buy it by the 4x8 sheet. Works great. Light goes through it wonderful. Super cheap. Or you can buy one lid that goes to fit one tank for, depending on size of the tank, we'll just say $20, and it's only going to fit that one tank.
Yeah, I definitely think the difference between higher end substrates and something you can pick up is rinsing and cleaning. But even in saying that, you can go outside, and I've done it with the kids before, and go to the river or the creek, wherever you are at, or even in the driveway or the backyard, and they love just picking up gravel and cool rocks. And again, you have to clean them really well, but I'm sure we've paid for the gravel in some aspect, but it's free. Or just good family memories, going to the river, collecting a little bit of sand and some cool rocks with the kids, and come home, clean it up together, and put it in a tank they pick out. And it's really fun, and that's an option too if you just have the time. But going to lids, there's a lot. Like, I was surprised, honestly, how much going and getting like just a cut piece of glass to the dimensions I want, and like that tempered glass. Is it tempered glass? I was so surprised. Like, I was shocked how expensive that is, and that I love that type of lid, because I actually have one from our entertainment center broke, and I took the glass piece off, and it works great for an aquarium lid. It really does. And it was free in the aspect that, yes, our entertainment center broke, but I'm recycling, and it works great. And with the other, I forget the stuff that you said that was.
It's for greenhouses.
Yes.
It's the only corrugated type.
Yeah, the only thing I would say is a drawback. That works really well. It really does. It's just we have a lot of calcium buildup, so it does get dirty and is a little harder to clean. That calcium lime scale off versus the glass canopies. And for the 10 gallons, and I believe the 20 longs, I do pick up some glass canopies at the pet store. I think it was the top fin glass canopies, and I like those too. So there's a couple of different options in price, but I do like to invest a little bit more when it comes to those glass canopy lids, because with being glass, it's easier for us to clean them. But that corrugated stuff does work really well too. You just have to cut it to the size. So if you have a lot of tanks, you can get a couple of sheets of that, if not just one. And we have a Dremel cutting tool that we mark it and cut it, and it just goes right on top. And it really does help keep some of those jumpy fish in the tank. So you can spend hundreds of dollars on personalized pieces of glass, all the way down to, how much was that sheet? Maybe $30 to $50.
No, it was $18.48.
$18, and we got like
I was able to cover
4 or 5 tanks. Yeah, 4 or 5 tanks with it, and we still have a piece left. So again, even with lids, I think that if you invested a little bit with the glass, and I think they were $20 to $30. They're different for the size of the tank, but they're just, for me, I like to invest a little bit more money in that because they're easier to get all that scale off.
Well, and expensive versus not also goes to, is this a show tank?
Yes.
Is this a show tank in your living room you're showing off? Then
I do try to make it look a little
you're
better.
You're gonna pump a little more money into the lights and the lid. But if it's a tank that you enjoy and it's just for yourself,
you have one tank in your living room. Just the one, yes. I could see where you could splurge a little bit on the lid and maybe a light and go a little cheaper on the substrate. Invest in live plants, though, yes.
Yes, invest in live plants. I'm always going to say that every episode.
26 to 200 tanks in your fish room. You have just overall, for me, I have 20-something tanks. And my budget has gone down a little bit because I have so many tanks. I can't invest into a huge amount of money in one tank when I have to stagger it out between all my tanks, which that's what I choose to do. But if we had 100-gallon tank upstairs and that's it, I would probably go all out. But you can save on, like I said, on the substrate and go a little bit more expensive on the light.
Exactly. And the same with the plants. And anyone that has listened to Aquarium Dilemmas more than just one episode, you will know I'm going to go on a rant about plants. I'm the plant
We'll go down plants, and then we'll talk about lights, because there's a lot of different options for lighting, too. But,
every plant we have is a low-tech plant.
Yes.
And this will lead into the light subject. Low-tech. Don't need CO2. Do not need super fancy lights. All you need is a little bit of substrate. Some of the plants don't even require it. Some of the mosses and stuff, you don't even have to use that. We
gradually add to, like, I have some tanks that have deeper substrate, but instead, I just have always started with a little bit less and then through the years add to it. But some people really like deep substrates and some people like bare bottoms. It just comes down to what you like. But if you have a bare bottom tank, get floating plants. Because every tank, it's changed everything with plants. I love them.
Yes, correct. And the plants, in my opinion, I believe the fish love your plants.
Yes.
Your fry will really love your plants if you have any sort of live bearers. And there's a lot of benefits to plants. Yes. Just for your water cycle, just for taking out the nitrates out of your water.
That's one area we will definitely say splurge on.
but there's a lot of very cheap options.
Yes.
From your pet stores, from your local clubs, local, if there's some sort of local festival, fish festival comes to town, an expo, you can pick up plants that are easy to grow, take zero experience for $5 or less.
Yeah, there's all kinds of options, but definitely go down the live plant road. But when it comes to lights, especially since I do have so many planted tanks now, I have gone down the road where I thought I had to have the most expensive. Then I went to shop lights. And now I have, like, the little clamp shop lights where there's just one bulb in it. And they've all worked. The only one that I say that didn't work as well as the rest was I got a 5,000 lumen shop light. And I think it was just a little too bright for that tank. But
I think you need to put an asterisk on this comment. It is all the aesthetics of how you want your tank to look. You can buy the nicest light in the world that extends, goes over the top, and they're going to sell it to you as the best light. It's got this light spectrum. It can do this. It can do that. You can buy, if you don't mind it, you can buy the cheap shop clamp hood, clamp it on the side of the tank. You just have to buy the right bulb.
Yes. I don't particularly like warm lights on my tank. I like more of a cool look to my lights, but that's just me personally. I think the plants grow either way. I know that some plant lights have a little, from what I believe, I guess, have a little bit more of the red wavelength
the
to
red
the
spectrum.
light. And sometimes, like, I also went to, I think it was Home Depot, and got it was like a garden plant grow light, and it works great, but it grows algae great and everything great. So my advice is, I've had all different kinds of lights, from super, super cheap. Like, I stole the light bulb out of the lamp upstairs for the living room, to $100+ light. And when it comes down to it, the ones that help me turn them off are the ones I like the best.
Correct.
They all pretty much, minus that one, I think it was just too bright because it had a lot of lumens to it. But all of the tanks grow really well, from little bitty clamp lights to actual little aquarium hook-on lights to Fluval lights to everything. It just comes down to, my thing is, I need help remembering to turn them off. So if they're Bluetooth, or you can set them on a timer or anything to help me turn them off. Because turning off your lights is so important for your plants, for your fish, for just the overall balance of your tank. It's very important to give your lights time to be off. And I need help remembering that. So that's what I look for in the light now, is, does it have some way to help me remember to turn it off? That's my advice on lights.
And I mean, all those are very, very good little
Jesse will give you a better answer.
The light is more of an aesthetic, as far as your fish obviously need light. You're trying to replicate nature in a glass box. So obviously it's going to need to be on at least 8 hours a day at a minimum, and then off.
I would say 6 to 8 hours.
You're trying
maybe
to replicate nature. So you're going to need at least 8 hours of
Don't do
somewhat...
like me. Leave them on for 3 days, then turn them off for a couple days and be like, oh, I need to turn them on. Don't do that. So I really do look for things that have timers or Bluetooth functions, and that you might have to pay a little bit more, but that's what I need help with. Someone that's responsible and be like, oh, I need to turn that light off at 7 o'clock, then something a little cheaper.
But if you only have
work.
one fish tank, you'll remember to do that.
Yes.
And again, I always jump back to the first-time hobbyist. Only has one aquarium, maybe has two because of their kid, or they just jumped into it head over heels, and they're like, I like this and I like that, but this and that don't go together, so I got to have two tanks. So I got two 20 longs. So you only have two aquariums.
Yeah, I'm hoping that this podcast helps a lot of different people, but I just know from my personal experience, ideal fish room, I could have them all just on my phone or all on a master switch and just be on and off.
Exactly. And with ending up with your lights, again, it goes back to, is this your showpiece tank, or is this just a tank for you that you come in and look at? How do you want it lit? And then what do you have in it? Do you have plants in it that might need a little special, little better light maybe, or you're just going to use the shop clamp lights, but you're going to buy the better bulbs? I mean, that's what I prefer. Get the better bulbs, the super cheap shop lamps, clamp them on the side. Plants love it. They don't know the difference. They don't know what light's planted on them. They have no clue that you're using a shop light. They don't care if it's a $250 Fluval light or any type of light. It's light. You just want it to be the correct light.
Yeah, it's true. There's just so many different ways to spend money in this hobby.
Oh, the money can run out endlessly.
If you can enjoy this hobby and learn ways to save a little bit of money here, to cut costs a little bit here, and it still look good and function and be balanced, so you can have, when the opportunity arises to splurge on something, that like lighting or something. Cause lighting can make a huge difference on the overall look and appearance of your tank. And like I said, I don't necessarily like warm lights, and even like one of my ugliest tanks will just look better in a cool lighting. So it just comes down to your personal preference on that, and learning ways to cut cost to spend more money over here, because there's so many different ways to spend money in the fish keeping hobby, but it's worth it.
Well, we'll circle back to your filters a little bit.
Well, we'll talk about like DIY type stuff.
Okay. Well, then,
because that kind of goes into filters.
Well, then
too.
Going into that,
it popped in my brain.
Going into that, we'll go into the water changing stuff. You can go all the way crazy with water change. You can get a whole automated water system if you have a big fish room.
You can.
Where it will do it all for you. It will take water out, put water in. I mean, it does it all.
And I have two, they're just regular, just garage basement pumps from Lowe's, but I have a clean water and a dirty water and a water hose for each. And that's how I choose to do it. And it's made my life a lot easier. But I know there's like pythons and things. There's all kinds of different water change options out there. And you can go, like you said, super expensive on an automatic, like your whole room's and push of a button, to my old school way where I would fill it up 1 gallon at a time with a drinking water tub. So there's all different types of ways and DIY type of ways that you can do a water change. And you can make it as fancy as you want, all the way down to no money spent besides the water and maybe the aquarium vac. So
if you're getting into this hobby and wanting to get the most bang for your buck, I would ideally get very, very familiar with your local chain hardware store,
or just your local hardware stores. It might not be a chain.
Or your local hardware store, whoever's the most helpful for you.
Yeah, because that definitely saves money, because it does make, you can get all kinds of little things. I was like, I didn't think about that, but yeah, I could use that in my fish room. But there's so many options that you can go expensive or you can DIY it yourself. I really think it comes down to if it just makes your life easier. But
and if you're able to, if you have the knowledge or are willing to have the knowledge and the time, or research it and figure it out on your own, which is part of the hobby that I enjoy, is researching, understanding, figuring out.
It makes me feel clever when I solve a problem with something I already had.
Exactly.
It makes me feel real good. I was like, I did that with some tape, some pair of scissors, and some old tubing. Like, look at me go. I didn't have to spend any money on solving that problem. But like I said, like, you can make this hobby as expensive as you want. Like, I like the Fluval FX4 canister filter on my arowana tank, but I like a DIY filter on my outside ponds, where we've kind of made things over the years that we didn't throw away that still worked, and we just made it work, and it didn't cost us anything, because one, we already spent the money on it and we kept it and made it work. So you really can just, it's an expensive hobby, yes, but you can make it as expensive as you want. There's plenty of opportunities to make it cheaper in certain aspects, and the most expensive thing isn't always best for you. I feel like sometimes there's different options available. You just kind of have to think outside the box, and that's what I've learned a lot in this hobby. There's thinking outside the box to solve some of my problems has worked out great, but again, you get what you pay for. Don't always assume that the cheapest is the best either.
True. And with that, there's certain things you can't get around.
Yes, there's always those few things.
But there's a lot of products that are super expensive. And if you look at them and read everything about them, and look at the next step down does the exact same thing. The only difference might be the life expectancy of said product.
Like, I find I splurge, to me, buying it's not always the most expensive either, but a higher quality food for my fish and feeding my fish properly. Yes, I spent more money, but my fish are healthier.
And you're feeding
and
less.
I'm not overfeeding them as much. I'm not overfeeding them as much every once in a while, but I save money because I'm not using as much product. And like water conditioner, I spend probably a little bit more on a higher end product, but I use it properly. And instead of like dumping the whole thing, thinking I need a whole bunch, I use it properly. And I get a lot of use out of it. So there's certain things that I do think it's important to splurge on, but I've learned from my mistakes, learning that sometimes really cheap food made my fish a little sick. So and that's just coming with experience and keeping fish and learning over time the tricks. And it's helpful to get to know some of the fish fan members on YouTube and some of the channels and the community we have in our live chats on Sunday. And we learn like, oh, okay, we just learned so much different tricks and ways to do things that's like, oh, okay, that does save me money. Or, oh, I see where that's important to spend a little extra money.
Yeah, we encourage you to talk to if you're new to it, talk to
get to know the community.
Yes,
they're so helpful.
Learn the community, talk to people, get great ideas, bounce ideas off other people, and one of your ideas someone may not even ever thought of and went and go, holy smokes, that's gonna work.
Yes, and it's
that's smart.
Yeah, and don't listen to just one person. So it's helpful to have a whole helpful community that's willing to give you advice, share tips, and it might not work for me, but at least I know that that's an option if it comes up.
Exactly.
It'll set me on the right path that it might help me lead to something else. So is this expensive? Is this hobby expensive? Yes. There's ways around it? Of course. But after all the money spent, after all the ups and downs, I wouldn't have changed it for the world. So.
No, not at all. And continuing with what we started to touch on, the DIY, I believe the DIY for the outside ponds and the outside stuff that we do is the way to go. In my little world of opinion, because there is so many things you can use and it still is aesthetically pleasing. We've made a filter box with media in it, put the pump inside of it, sunk it down to the bottom of the pond. Yeah. Super cheap. Again, went to the hardware store, already had the pump, bought a cheap tote, went to the pet store, got some biomedia, hurried up, and did it.
Yeah.
It was easy.
Yeah, and I've made a brine filter, a baby brine shrimp hatchery. And did it need some tweaks? Yes. But did it work so I could hatch fresh brine shrimp for the fish? Yeah. Like, it worked great. And I made that. And I was very proud of myself.
And we still use it.
Yes. And is there more expensive options that might make it a little easier? Of course. But it works great. So it's fun to try new things. And like you said, building things for the pond. And like, I never would have thought that I would do something like that, and it would work out so well. And it sometimes is a cheaper option, and it's fun just to try it and be like, okay, I think we can do it like this, and it would work too. And it's really fun. And you can make a filter out of a 5-gallon bucket. Like, you could do all kinds of things. But in the end, does it make your day easier? It might. It's worth a shot. There's no harm in trying.
I've tried out a lot of DIY projects with Kerri, and 90% of them did not fail. I had to tweak them. I had to do a few little odds and ends twists, but mostly it was perfect. It was more of tweaking it for what we needed for our needs than anything else. Aesthetically, everything was fine. Everything worked good, looked good. All that was great. It was more, it wasn't exactly the way we wanted it for the purpose we were going to use it.
Mm-hmm. Well, is there anything wrapping up that you can say last minute that popped into your brain about expensive may not be always better?
Do not listen to the first person.
Yes, don't do that.
Do not listen to the first person, and really have an objective goal in your head.
Yes.
And always think everything completely through. And if you have a comment or an idea, bounce it off ScienceGal at ScienceGalAquatics.com. Send her an email.
Yes. But thank you so much for tuning in and watching this podcast or listening to this podcast, whatever you prefer. And I hope this has helped you a little bit. But until next time.
Until next time.
Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you for listening.
Bye.